Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, July 10th, 2019.
Commissioner Garcia, Cabello, James, Davis, and Caloza are present. President James, you do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Sanitation.
Sherry Kuroki, LA Sanitation and Environment.
Larry Hsu, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Seffi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Kevin Min with the Bureau of Street Services.
Agla Tujan, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council commentary section. No speaker cards were received on any of the items for today's agenda as well.
Okay, we'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. There's been a request on agenda item number 4 by Streets LA, along with the council office, is my understanding, to continue the item for some additional community outreach and input to Friday, August 9th, 2019. So without objection, we'll continue agenda item number 4 to Friday, August 9th, 2019. Dr. Campos, do you have any, are there bids today on this one project? Or is this the one
No, this is the bid that was continued on Monday.
I'm sorry? We extended this one, right?
Correct.
Okay, so agenda item number 1, the bid date was extended from today until, my recollection is July 24th. Is that right?
Just double check on the calendar here. Give me 1 second.
I would be willing to bet a whole quarter on that.
Wednesday,
Usually I
July
only bet a
24th.
nickel, so. What?
Wednesday, July 24th.
All right, I was right. Okay, so then agenda item number 1 is essentially continued by that order on Monday to July 24th. Mr. Reamer, are you ready, sir? All right, step forward.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
City family, guests. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be here today. My name is John Reamer. I'm the City of Los Angeles Inspector of Public Works, the Director of the Bureau of Contract Administration, and today is a special day. Many years ago, I won't count how many, but back in 1985, a long time ago, huh? Some people in this room weren't even born yet. I had an opportunity to start with the City of Los Angeles as an electrical craft helper, and that was, unfortunately, still is to this day, but Chris Hannon and I are talking about that. That was the city's version of an apprentice electrician. My father by trade was a machinist, and I had 2 directives in my household. My father said, get a trade. My mother said, get a degree. So I had to do both to make them both happy, and I haven't regretted a moment. The notion of apprenticeship, an environment where one who knows spends time with one who wants to know, sharing with them knowledge and information so that one who wants to know can then take that information and use it on their own and then do the same thing. They become a master crafts person, a journey level worker. And we in the City of Los Angeles, we have made it a point, and Mayor Garcetti has made it very clear that he wants to create avenues and opportunities, not just for jobs, but for careers, to provide that area where men and women can come and receive information and grow and learn and develop and contribute back to their communities without having to leave. So we have been partnering with this group, if you will, the building trades, and those who are going to recognize today the Association of Apprenticeship Coordinators of Southern California. Individuals who have given their lives to train men and women, regardless of where they come from, regardless of what they've done, regardless of barriers that they might have. But anybody who has a desire to want to better themselves, someone who wants to come and to sit at the foot of someone who knows, to receive information. And we're excited to recognize our labor partners today. We have a partnership with them. The city has project labor agreements. In those project labor agreements, we have identified areas where we want to better our city through local hire, through local apprentices, and through transitional workers. And it has been phenomenally successful. Our goals are 30% on the local, 50% on the local apprentice, 10% on the transitional worker, and in all three categories, we're far exceeding the minimum goals that we've set for ourselves. And it is because of our partners, those who have said we want to take those who want to learn. We don't have, unfortunately, I'm going to date myself again, when it was called junior high school and not middle school, we don't unfortunately have metal shop and wood shop and home economics. So having this environment, if you will, where men and women give their lives to train others with information is so important. And so today we want to celebrate that. We want to recognize those who are doing that. This partnership, and I have to acknowledge Ron Miller, who's not able to be here, but Chris Hannon will speak, includes the LA Orange County Building Construction Trades Council and their commitment to making sure that doors are open for those residents, those constituents in the city of Los Angeles. So we have here today Liz Croson with the Mayor's Office, Director of Infrastructure, to share a few words on the importance of this day.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, John. Good morning, President James and Commissioners. It's an honor to be here. Always love to present in front of you all. And it is an honor to present today a certificate from Mayor Garcetti to the Apprenticeship Coordinators Association of Southern California. I think the types of apprenticeships and training opportunities that you all provide is key not only to the operations of this city, but also to the bold and ambitious goals of this mayor. And the types of jobs that you are creating are those that are fundamental to the city of Los Angeles. I know that they, can really build a family and sustain people in a livable way in the city of Los Angeles. And I also think it's important to note that the mayor earlier this year released the new Sustainable City Plan, LA's Green New Deal, and this does obviously include very bold environmental goals, but it is absolutely reliant on jobs and the people that will be able to deliver those goals. And so the mayor has also set some targets to add 300,000 green jobs by 2035 and 400,000 by 2050. And really the way that we're going to do that is through partnerships like this one, so that we have the training for people coming into the workforce and trainings for people that are transitioning from one job to another as the economy and the environment changes. So I just really want to commend you for the work that you're doing and for this incredible partnership, and present this certificate of recognition. And it's my honor to do this on behalf of Mayor Garcetti. As mayor of the city of Los Angeles, I commend the Apprenticeship Coordinators Association of Southern California for their outstanding work to provide apprenticeship training, construction careers, and employment opportunities for the constituents of the city of Los Angeles and the communities of Southern California. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Signed, Mayor Garcetti. Thank you.
Who wants to receive it? Is John here?
Thank you, Commissioners. President James.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Reamer. I'm the Secretary of the Apprenticeship Coordinators Association, and John Holmes from Sprinkler Gritters Local 709. Thank
Great.
you guys very much.
Thank you, sir.
But we also have Chris Hannon here representing the LA Orange County Building Construction Trades Council. Ask Chris to say a few words.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, President James.
See
Good
you
morning,
again.
Commissioners, city departments. Thank you, John. I'd like to thank the City of Los Angeles for recognizing our apprenticeship coordinators and the Apprenticeship Coordinators Association. I have to be honest with you, I'm a very proud union man, and we're very proud of our union affiliates, but it's these individuals and their instructors that really set us apart. It allows me to come up to, whether it be a podium, to the negotiating table, and with confidence say that we can man any project with the best trained men and women in the construction industry, period. It's the work of the coordinators and the work of their instructors taking time, not just in the classroom, but as well as our journey level members out in the field training the apprentices. If it takes staying after to help an apprentice, if it helps having a tutoring program to help get an apprentice into the program, whatever it takes, these are the individuals that get it done. Our local unions are the face, and they're the signatures on the Board of Public Works agreement. They're who most of the interaction happens with, but it's really the coordinators and their instructors that are really setting us apart. It allows John and I to sit down, and Ron to sit down with John, and whatever the project is for the city of Los Angeles, we confidently know that the work is going to get done, and it's going to get done with a workforce that reflects Los Angeles. The thousands of apprentices that have gotten into the trades from the city of Los Angeles because of your Board of Public Works agreement, they won't always work on a city job. But whether they're working in Los Angeles County, one of the counties surrounding us, they're bringing that money back home to Los Angeles. It's good for business. It's good for their communities. And this agreement has really created the pathways to do that. So again, want to thank the city of Los Angeles for recognizing the coordinators. It's not often enough that we do thank our training partners, and I appreciate everything.
Thank you, Chris.
A gentleman that grew me up, if you will, in labor. Now, he's not a man of few words, so I'm going to have to try to calm him. But Manny Perez, I'd like for Manny to please come forward. Manny has the distinction of having served with the city since 1971. And he started, yes, go ahead. Manny started the labor compliance program, and Manny was instrumental in making sure or ensuring that the city was able to receive its state certification. We are one of the 4 remaining. We're considered a legacy program, state certified labor compliance programs, working with the state to ensure not only that men and women are paid properly through prevailing wage, but that apprentices have an opportunity to work. You would like to think that all of our contractors would use apprentices. That unfortunately is not the case. And we have to ensure that our contractors understand the value of utilizing apprentices, not just for the project, but for a long-term benefit. Manny, come on forward, Manny. Manny retired some time ago, but Mayor Garcetti, and I appreciate you, Mayor, allowed us to bring Mr. Perez back to work with us. Manny, I want you to say a few words, okay?
Mr. Perez, let me just say, first of all, it's great to see you back here again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in this morning. And I remember your a number of presentations that you've had before this Board of Public Works, and it's a real delight to see you this morning.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, commissioners, bureau representatives, executive officer, and council. Indeed, it's a great honor to be back to serve the people of this great city. And it's even a greater honor to recognize the apprenticeship coordinators that are putting our constituents to work, providing them with opportunities, jobs, but most importantly, careers in construction. So I'm honored to be back, and I'm really just touched by the presence that we have today of the ladies and gentlemen that represent the construction industry. But I'm also proud of our Bureau, the leadership that our Bureau has with John and Hannah. Excellent job. And so, again, I'm very thankful for this opportunity to be here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's great to see you, Mr. Perez.
Manny, stay. Manny. Stand up. Okay, we're going to recognize now some individuals, or representatives of individuals. We're going to ask
Mr.
David.
Reamer, I'm sorry. Before you start,
Go ahead.
you talked about legacy program. I just have to say, Manny Perez was a legacy presenter at the
Yes.
Board of Public Works.
Yes.
You know, it's, and we miss it here, Manny, we do. But it's just so great to see you and to hear your voice this morning. I'm sorry I just had to pile on a little bit.
Oh, no
go
need to
go ahead,
apolo-
Mr. Reamer.
No need to apologize. See, I can let you do that. See, I mean, I'm glad you did, because Manny is a legacy. There's so much that has not been said that we, as not just a bureau or department, but a city, have been able to accomplish in this partnership. And the mayor loves the word, and I do too, that we have with labor and those individuals that have given themselves to opening doors of opportunity. And it's because of this gentleman here. I mean, before we had a project labor agreement, and we had continuity agreements at Hyperion to make sure that we did not have work stoppages, Mr. Perez was there. There's so much that he's forgotten that I haven't even begun to learn yet. And so I'm so grateful to the mayor that we're able to have him here, and that he's able to continue to train up a new generation of labor compliance enforcement officers, and help continue that partnership with labor and our apprenticeship coordinators. The city is greatly benefiting from this. Beyond what we could ever imagine. So thank you, Commissioner, for recognizing Mr. Perez. Definitely worthy of that. Okay. David Lawhorn. Is David here? Come on, John. Now, all of these say the same, but I'm going to read them to you, and then I'll call you all off. It's signed by every one of our commissioners. Dated this day, July 10th, for the outstanding work of the Apprenticeship Coordinators Association of Southern California in providing apprenticeship training, construction careers, and employment opportunities for the constituents of the city of Los Angeles and the surrounding communities. Thank you very much. Thank you. Jesse Fernandez, Painter and Allied Trades, District Council 36. Thank you, sir. John Holmes, Secretary, Sprinkler Fitters, Local 709. Armando Pena, Apprenticeship Coordinator, Masons. And I'm going to take a little privilege here. People are going to say, well, you took the privilege because they're electrician. No, it's not that. This young lady has a heart. Every community event that I've gone to, she's there. Outreach opportunities, she's there. It doesn't matter where you're from or who you are or what you've done. If you want to, she's there. Jane Templin. Jane. And Jane, we didn't rehearse this, but I'd love for you to say a few words. Please.
I'm honored to address, and I thank you for the honor. It's important working together that we build those careers for our residents, that opportunity to do something you love. And that's what we all do. We're all part of a team. My brothers and sisters here, we build. I'm an electrician. That's what I do. I love it. Unfortunately, I'm not with the tools anymore, but I'm still involved. And that's important, that you give us these opportunities and we allow the people to come in and do what they enjoy and build their environment, build their community, and participate in it. There is nothing stronger than taking your family, your parents, your spouse, your kids, and say, I built that. I did that. Nothing stronger. Thank you.
Thank you.
In Field of Dreams, the statement is, if you build it, they will come. Board, it's because of you. You have created a policy. You have created an environment for opportunity. And because you've done that, they come and they train and lives are changed. So it's not just about paving roads and erecting buildings, trimming trees. We're transforming lives. We're transforming families. And it's because of you and the mayor's leadership. So we had to come here today to let our partners know we appreciate them and let them hear you share with them that we're greatly appreciative of this opportunity, because it takes all of us to make this happen. And it starts here, though. We cannot do this unless you say, go forward. And President James, you and I have had conversations, and you wanted to make sure that we had numbers that were respectable and opportunities that were solid and sustainable. It's under the leadership of our mayor, and this speaks to the team coming together, and on this day just saying, you know what, this is good, it's working well, and let's continue to do good, solid, strong work, because many lives are changed because of it. So thank you very much. And to all of our coordinators, I applaud you.
Thank you. We'll start with Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. This was incredibly impressive, and I have a long list of people I want to address and thank. But let me start with BCA. Under your leadership, Mr. Reamer and Ms. Choi, what an impressive and really remarkable program, and it has to sit somewhere and be housed by folks who really believe in it and push it forward, and that's what you both have done and what all of BCA has done, so thank you. Secondly, I do want to thank the mayor. The mayor has always been, since I was in the council office with him, focused on not just apprenticeship programs, but career ladders, something that is meaningful and lasting. And to see that continued here and taking and expanding that is just so incredibly meaningful. To the coordinators, thank you. Thank you for giving your time. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your involvement and your investment in the next generation. It's really important to uplift each other and communities of color. I used to work for a trade union, so I know how important this is and the roles that you play are. So thank you for what you do. Although, just one little challenge, I would love to see more women, but that's something we will continue to work on all together, I'm sure, as we set those goals and exceed those goals. Isn't that right, Mr. Reamer? So thank you all, and congratulations to everybody here. Really appreciate your work.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. Commissioner Davis.
I'd like to thank our leader, John Reamer, and also Hannah Choi, who works with the Bureau of Contract Administration. And I thank them because I think it is critically important for us to recognize the coordinators of our apprenticeship programs. Everyone knows, and we say it time and time again, that the mayor's Back to Basic principles, one of the objectives of that Back to Basic principles is to create jobs in Los Angeles for all of Los Angeles. And nothing could be a much needed tool than what the apprenticeship programs and coordinators are doing by providing this vehicle by which we can not only provide jobs for Los Angelinos and those in the Southern California region, but that in fact we can provide careers. And so I thank John Reamer and Hannah Choi for recognizing the work that you do. It is critically important, and without you, we would not be who we are today as Los Angeles. And I want to say that, in summary, when we look at major cities in the country, the unique thing about our major cities in America is that we are union towns, whether it's New York, or whether it's Philadelphia, or whether it's Los Angeles. And so the work that the Bureau of Contract Administration does really reflects the values that we have in the great city of Los Angeles. And again, we support and we enact the objectives that the mayor has set forth and back to basics and creating jobs in Los Angeles for all of Los Angeles, as Vice President Cabello said, diversity and how we can achieve the inclusion of all of the various multicultures that are a part of Los Angeles into these jobs for Los Angeles and all of Los Angeles can best be done by those of you who are in the room today. So again, I congratulate you, John and Hannah, for the hard work that you have done. But most of all, I applaud those of you who are in the audience because you are the tools that will make a difference for us to realize our goals and our objectives in this great city. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President James. I'm going to be quick. I want to say ditto to what my colleagues just said. Everything they said is absolutely what my sentiments are. But to the leadership, John and Hannah, you guys are amazing. You make such a great team, and it's such a pleasure to work with you that I'm sure this is why this program is so successful. So, and to all of, and one last thing though, John Reamer, you said this will transform lives, transform families, but I also want to add it transforms generations. From now on, your kids and the kids down from you, the grandkids, and everybody else that comes after you will have a better step and outlet and access. So I firmly believe that this is changing generations, the generations coming next to us. So congratulations for being this, for investing, not just for yourself, but investing for your family and investing for the generations to come. Congratulations. We look forward to always being part of this amazing program. And this is probably the best. This is probably the reason why I always do public service, is because we get to open opportunities for folks to transform themselves, to have equip themselves with a better quality of life. And that's what I always look forward to. So congratulations all. It's really nice to be part of all this, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Commissioner Caloza.
Thank you, President James. I just wanted to echo what all my colleagues said as well, and just, thank you all for your service and your passion and for your work and dedication to the city. If you take a look around this room, you can really feel the passion and the energy, and we know that, like my colleague said, this is more than just careers for you. You guys truly care about the work that you do, and, this is one of the things that LA will be remembered for. And it's really a testament, again, to the Bureau of Contract Administration and the leadership with John, Hannah, and Chris when you bring the right people to the table, that you guys can do really amazing things partnering together. So thank you again for your service, and congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. And just a couple of things that I'd like to add. This is one of the things that makes, to Commissioner Garcia's point, that makes this job so special for us and for me individually. The ability to see this level of success really across the region that you all build, quite frankly, pun intended. Chris, you talked about training and safety, and that's so important, but what comes with that, obviously, and we've talked about it before too, is quality. That's so key to the work that we all do together. We are a model for the entire country, and we are. The definition of family today is so different and so expansive, appropriately so. I mean, you hear a lot about working families in the press these days, and that's what all of this is. We're all working families, and we're working together, and we're all a family of our own. And John and Hannah, I want to thank you both for your leadership. Commissioner Davis, as you've been the liaison to the Bureau of Contract Administration the entire time that we've been here, the entire length of Mayor Garcetti's administration, I want to thank you for your leadership with the Bureau of Contract Administration. And this is just really one product of so many things that we are able to do in such a stellar way under the leadership of our mayor. And it's so great to see everybody here together and all that this means for our city, and most importantly, for our future, which we all are part of, and we are continuing together to pay it forward, which is exactly what this program is about. So thank you all very much. John, go ahead, sir.
If it please the board, what I'd like to close on is calling the groups individually.
Okay.
And then we convene in the back.
For the photo.
For the photo.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
All right. I'll call your group and come on up. I'll give you a certificate. Then we'll go to the back, and then we'll take a picture with the board. Is that fine? We're going to start with, first and foremost, the Tile, Marble, and Terrazzo Industry Joint Apprenticeship Committee. Southern California Heat and Frost Insulators, asbestos workers. Thank you very much. Net Zero Plus, Electrical Training Institute.
Thank you.
Southern California Elevator Constructor Apprenticeship Program. Los Angeles Painters and Drywall Joint Apprenticeship Committee. Southern California Roofers and Waterproofers Joint Apprenticeship Committee. Los Angeles Metropolitan Plumbers Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee. Southern California Sheet Metal Workers Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee. Southern California Plastering Institute and Apprenticeship Trust and Joint Apprenticeship Committee. Landscape, irrigation, sewer, storm, underground, industrial piping, Southern California Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee. Y'all do it all. Ironworkers Apprenticeship Training Center. Southern California Cement Masons Apprenticeship Training. Sprinkler Fitters Joint Apprenticeship Committee. Construction Teamsters Joint Apprenticeship Committee. Real quick, Gene Brewer, 39 years. He told me this morning he's retiring. I have to just acknowledge you in front of the board. When Manny and I did our first project labor agreement for our East Central Interceptor Sewer, Gene was pivotally involved in discussing it. So, Gene, congratulations on an excellent career, and thank you for your service. Appreciate you.
That's 1980. 39 years.
Okay, let's see. Painters and Allied Trades. Thank you. Glaziers Training Institute. Floor Covering Crafts Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee. Western States Boilermaker Apprenticeship Program. Did I do it, Teresa? Well, I'll read the rest. We have Southern California Operating Engineers Apprenticeship Committee. We have the Electrical Training Institute of Southern California. Air Conditioning Refrigeration Joint Journeymen and Women at Appreciation Apprenticeship Training Center. And Steam Fitter and Industrial Pipe Fitter Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee. Brick Masons Apprenticeship and Training. Masonry Industrial Training Association of Southern California, Bricklayers. And then lastly, Southern California Plaster Tenders Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee. Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Reamer. So we will assemble for a photograph in the back, and anyone that has on a visitor badge, you are no longer a visitor here. Please remove those badges. You're part of the City Hall family, please. So no badges now. Thank you. And we'll come right back there. Okay, thank you, everyone. Returning to our agenda, let's go ahead and take care of agenda item number 2, Council District 7, Sanitation Memorandum of Agreement between the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and LA Sanitation and Environment regarding the Bradley Green Alley Stormwater Capture Project, recommending that the board first approve and forward the report with its transmittals to the mayor, to request that the Board of Public Works and the Director of LA Sanitation and Environment, or his designee, be authorized to execute the proposed memorandum of agreement between sanitation and LADWP for partial funding of the Bradley Plaza Green Alley project, and secondly, authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the memorandum of agreement upon approval by the mayor, Mr. Tam, or whoever's here from sanitation. I've got Wing Tam, but I don't see Tam, Mr. Tam. So go ahead, sir.
Good morning. My name is Hamid Tadion. I'm project manager for this project. We are seeking your approval, of course, for accepting $140,000 from LADWP as partial funding for this project. The project is located in Pacoima area, a prime spreading ground as designated by the LADWP for infiltration and augmentation of the groundwater. The project is located in Pacoima area, as I said, parallel to Van Nuys Boulevard between Leahy and Lehigh and Paula Avenue. The alley is in a deteriorating condition right now. This project serves 3 goals and an objective. One is the water quality by capturing the stormwater and infiltrating it and reuse. Second is the elimination of the flooding in the alley, and also promote sustainability and neighborhood connectivity. During the development of the project, the conceptual design, the community was heavily involved, and we have their input taken into consideration. The project elements, the stormwater capture element of that is included in infiltration trench, several planters and bioswales, dry well and catch basin, as well as a cistern is underground storage to store the water and use it for irrigation. The other element of the project was a lot of amenity for the community, which included sitting area, shade structure, shade trees, social stairs that they can be using it. This project, once it's implemented, will save about 1.7 million or 5.4 acre-feet of water annually during the normal weather conditions. The project, as I said, is the LADWP 140,000 is partial funding. There are other funding the project which amounts to about 3.14 million.
Right, and I'll just add, thank you, sir, that the funding source table is included in the board report. Commissioner Coloza.
Thank you, President James. I just had a few quick questions. So in the schedule in the MOA, it states that the construction is going to be from April 2019 to November 2019. Does that need to be amended in any way since we're already in July?
The schedule has been a little bit delayed, not delayed. Actually, we've been going through a lot of permitting process. We had to obtain about 11 permits, and that has taken some time. Right now, we are in a bidding process, which we expect by the first or second week of August, we start construction, and it'll last about 6 months to January 19 as of right now.
So you guys already started work on this project before the agreement was approved?
I'm sorry?
So you guys already started work on this project before this agreement was approved?
We started the development of the design and all that stuff, yes.
And so does that need to be amended in the MOA in terms of the schedule that's outlined here?
I don't think so. Because the MOA with DWP, you're talking?
Yes, the MOA with
I don't believe so. We have been keeping all the funders in status report. We've been sending a report with the status report with the schedule. As of right now, as I said, the schedule, we're planning on starting the construction first or second week of August.
Okay.
It's going to last about 6 months.
City Attorney, Ted, could you please advise whether or not that needs to be amended, if you can confirm or not confirm that? It's on section 1 of the MOA, page
3 of 14?
Yeah.
We'd be happy to amend that if necessary.
Yeah, that, for the record, it reads, the project's design is expected to be completed by April 2019. The project's construction is expected to last 6 to 8 months from April 2019 to November 2019. I mean, it's fairly loose language. I'm not familiar with the project enough to know whether there's any repercussions under the MOU should the Bureau fail to deliver the project within that deadline.
I would just note that it says, the language does say 6 to 8 months from April 2019. So 6 months from April 2019 would be October.
Right.
8 months
would be
December
correct.
to the end of the year. You're saying January, February?
January, end of January, toward the end of January will be done.
Yeah, Ted, go ahead.
If you don't mind, I'm going to just take a quick look through any of the other provisions.
Go ahead. Commissioner Colosa, do you have any other questions while he's doing that?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
And can you please confirm who would maintain this area after it's been built?
The maintenance of the project, the stormwater capture portion of it is going to be LA Sanitation. We'll be maintaining that. We have MOA with two non-profit organizations, which is Trust for Public Land and as well as Pacoima Beautiful. Pacoima Beautiful is very local, and they have accepted to do some maintenance, like picking up trash or cleaning the bioswales or planters or things in that nature. But the stormwater capture portion would be LA Sanitation.
And then, if I'm reading the MOA correctly, sanitation would be responsible for the construction of this project?
We are overseeing, yes. LA Trust for Public Land, right now we are in a bidding process. They're bidding the project for construction, but the LA Sanitation is overseeing the project day by day.
Okay. For projects like this, is it more typical for engineering to be the construction manager?
Bureau of Engineering, you mean? Bureau of Engineering does a lot of our projects, but there are some projects, Green Alley projects, that they are done by the sanitation.
Okay. I don't have any other questions until Ted finishes reviewing the MOA.
Okay. Commissioner Cabello?
Thank you, President. Sorry. I'd like to commend sanitation for a very innovative project. This is number one in an area that desperately needs this. There's huge stormwater runoff and flooding issues. Number two, Pacoima, CD7, and the area surrounding it, it's right by public housing, can really benefit from this kind of beautification. Multi-benefit projects like this are vital to how we're going to have to deal with climate change and our climate infrastructure moving forward. And it is such an innovative, smart way of approaching it. And I like the fact that it's not being funded out of sanitation, that it's being funded through various sources, DWP and others. It's really creative, and it really pushes the needle forward in a way that we have to start thinking about all of our green infrastructure projects. So thank you all for the work that you do on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. I would add a couple of things, Ted, while you're reviewing this as well, just from my earlier review of this. And it states right below the funding source table. What we're being asked to deal with today is sanitation's MOA, Memorandum of Agreement, with LADWP.
Correct.
Regarding LADWP's contribution of a portion of the funds.
Correct.
Okay. There are no separate funding agreements as noted in the board report with the urban river and waterkeeper organizations that are listed here that are providing an even larger portion of the funding, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. There are those two grants are have been applied and grant awarded to
right.
Awarded to TPL. I'm sorry, TPL is with the Urban River, and Pacoima Beautiful, the other one.
Okay. Mr. Jordan, go ahead.
Yeah, just a few comments. There is an obligation to keep LADWP apprised of information pertaining to the status of the project, of which LA Sanitation becomes aware. So I think we are aware of a delay in the project, given what was expected in terms of the construction. So I think sanitation should advise DWP.
There's certainly potential for the 2-month, I don't know if you want to call it a delay or not, but it's a 2-month movement from the date that's listed in the board report.
Yeah, and so my recommendation would be that
Potentially.
My recommendation would be that LADWP be advised of that, particularly if their board approved the agreement and had an expectation of when the project would be constructed. There is a provision that says the MOA can be modified by mutual written consent of LA San if it's of a non-material nature. You know, that's short of a time hiccup, which maybe even is only a potential, should probably be just memorialized between the two departments so that everybody's on the same page.
We're also not sure that there's going to be a delay in the sense that you've given yourself a 2-month window.
Correct.
Or 6 to 8 months. You told us it's 6 months. If it's 6 months and it's done, even if it's done within December, this says up to November 2019. Even if it's done within December, you've hit the 8 months, which is also referenced here. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. And just kind of to pull us from the weeds here, folks, is there anything, Mr. Jordan, that would prevent us from moving forward approving this item today?
No.
Wonderful. Then I so make the motion if there are no further questions.
One question, though, that and I've got a motion and a second by Commissioner Davis. And Commissioner Garcia. The Commissioner Closeout, I'm sorry, I was looking at the agreement when the discussion between yourself and our Bureau rep regarding the question regarding engineering's involvement and sanitation's involvement, and I didn't hear the answer. Did he answer your question? I was looking at other stuff, so I apologize.
So you mentioned that it's common for you guys to do all the construction management for these green alleyways.
Yes, we do. We do a lot of, especially these green alley projects. That sanitation basically does those projects.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure what was common in terms of the construction management.
Thank you. Then I would just comment to Commissioner Caloza's point as well and put a little bit of an exclamation point on it. We're always happy to see this kind of grant funding to this level on a project like this, certainly in an area where this would be greatly beneficial. So congratulations to sanitation on compiling that.
Thank you.
Yeah, as I said. I did? Oh, I meant Cabello's point. I'm sorry. I've got, yes. All of them start with C. Caloza, Cabello, and credit. Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. Mr. Jordan, any questions?
No, I was, just a comment about the, I guess it's the nonprofits that are currently bidding the work. I wasn't sure, since it's not the city receiving the bids, if, the normal kind of protocols that we have with business inclusion and labor compliance. I'm assuming that all of that is being taken care of by the nonprofit partners who are receiving the bids?
Yes, we have basically all standard conditions of the city has been conveyed to them, and nonprofit were instructed that they have to attach those to all the subcontractors.
There's your answer, Mr. Jordan.
Let me also
Commissioner
piggyback on
Davis.
that. Because absence of us doing the work is no lack of accountability and responsibility on our part. So we do have conversation with the nonprofits that we've chosen to do the project, and we've spoken to them specifically about that, haven't we? Haven't we talked to them directly about that?
Directly about
the inclusion program that the city has and the expectation that to the extent possible we will have inclusion in the projects that we do that are funded with city funds.
Right.
And also, some of the money that we're getting from this project is federal dollars too, right?
I'm sorry?
Do we have some federal dollars in this project? We don't?
No.
Some of we have CDBG grants?
We have CDBG grant.
Where does that come from?
That's come from
The city? The city dollars?
Yes.
Aren't those federal dollars handed down? To
There are
cities?
some could be block grant.
I thought those are federal dollars
Yes.
that are managed by cities, correct? Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, that's what I thought. Right. So we have some federal dollars in this project, and so I'm just talking about some administrative issue here in terms of a task that we do or don't do, that we have some conversation specifically with them about that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what I want to
Yes.
say.
Add something
Okay.
Well, yes, go ahead, Commissioner Garcia.
I just want to add, I'm not sure about the other organization, but Pacoma Beautiful is a longtime partner of the city, sanitation, and they're literally, and they're literally like maybe 2-3 blocks away from this site. I know that because I know where they're housed. So I feel fully confident that they'll be able to execute this project and maintain it because it's under their best. It's what their mission is to keep Pacoma beautiful. So this is something that they love to do. So they'll do it. I know they'll maintain it. And
We are
full
confident in that.
confidence. Yeah.
So is
That the
TPL. We have been working
practices
with
are the
TPL as
same
well.
They always are with the city.
Yeah. And I think, too, Commissioner Garcia's point, Commissioner Davis, is that both Trust for Public Land and Pacoma Beautiful are our city partners for a very long time.
Right.
No city standards, no city regulations and requirements have adhered to them in the past, and we are very confident they'll adhere to them in moving forward in this project.
Okay, great.
And just to Mr. Jordan's question, since there are some federal dollars, they too, as project participants, are informed of the federal guidelines
Yes.
as we are.
Absolutely. We have forwarded.
Not just a conversation, Commissioner Davis. There's documentation that goes back and forth.
Absolutely. We have been providing progress report
Yes.
to those entities, as well as the requirements has been conveyed to both TPL and Pacoma Beautiful.
I think we're good here. All right, thank you. So that's Commissioner Cabello's motion, seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Davis. All of our questions have been answered. Mr. Jordan, are you satisfied?
Yeah, I mean, the issue before the board is simply the MOA.
It's the $140,000
Yes,
MOA with DWP. I realize it's quite limited compared to the larger discussion, but the larger project's on the agenda too, so thus today's discussion. My question is, are you satisfied with the answer that you got for our public record?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Commissioner Closa as well? Okay, great. Then, any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order. We'll pass the agenda item number 2 as requested by sanitation. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you
very
very much.
healthy discussion on this, and we all feel better about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, I should say we all feel good about it. All right, thank you. Especially it's Council District 7. Agenda item number 3, Streets LA, a tree removal, 21300 West Roscoe Boulevard. Recommending that the board first find that the tree removals are classified as operation, repair, maintenance, or minor alteration of existing street, sidewalk, and gutter involving negligible or no expansion of use beyond that previously existing and do not involve removal of a scenic resource are exempt under Section 1, Article 3, Class 2, Category 2, that's city's CEQA guidelines. If you have questions about that, it's in the board report, of the City of Los Angeles Environmental Quality Act. And 3, none of the exceptions to the use of a categorical exemption as set forth in Section 153-200.2 of the state CEQA guidelines apply. Number 2, specify that the Bureau of Street Services, Streets LA, Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. Number 3, review and approve this tree removal permit request for 2 Canary Island pine trees and 2 Mexican fan palms for driveway installation. These are not protected trees. Tree replacements are required. And 4, concur with Streets LA determination that the site cannot feasibly accommodate all of the required replacement trees, and pursuant to LA Municipal Code Section 62.177C, authorize the tree replacement guarantee fee to satisfy the Public Works planting requirement. Dr. Campos, before we go to Mr. Benuelos, I have a question. In the board report, it consistently puts the word in lieu fee in parenthesis. I would like to strike that term for future agenda items. because the municipal code is LAMCC 62.177C, the tree replacement guarantee fee.
We can definitely do that. Actually, we can do that for this report as well. There's going to be a request to amend this report. We can strike out those the reference to the en lieu fee, and then we will work with the Bureau of Street Services to make sure that future board reports omit that.
Yeah, got it. Okay. And I know that we're going to have an amendment as well from Mr. Benuelos regarding tree replacements. And I would also note before Mr. Benuelos starts that I do have an email that I received from Council District 3 indicating that they are supportive of this moving forward today as amended. Go ahead, Mr. Benuelos.
Yes. Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney Dr. Campos, Hector Banuelos with the Bureau of Streets LA, Urban Forestry Division. What we have before us is a request to remove 2 Canary Island pine trees and 2 California fan palms at 21300 Roscoe Boulevard, located on the southwest corner of Deering Avenue in Canoga Park. The applicant is renovating a current site, what used to be a Costco store, and going to be installing a CarMax car dealership at the location. As part of the project, the applicant is proposing to construct 2 new driveways, one on Roscoe Boulevard and one on Deering Avenue. The driveway on Roscoe is going to impact 2 of 7 Canary Island pine trees, but they're going to replant, there is room to replant 3 on Roscoe of the Canary Island pine trees. On Deering Avenue, the applicant is required to dedicate 5 feet in addition to what is existing there already. Previously, the Department of City Planner required the applicant to construct a sidewalk, 5-foot sidewalk, adjacent to the property line. That would have required the removal of approximately 20 trees growing in that area, in that planter area. We reached out to Department of City Planning and requested that they look into the condition and change the condition to place the sidewalk adjacent to the curb instead of the property line. Therefore, we're able to save approximately about 18 street trees that are currently at the along the street of Deering. Unfortunately, the driveway installation on Deering will require the removal of 1 or 2 California fan palms. One of the fan palms that we identified for removal appeared to have grown voluntarily and got about 4 inches of concrete curb embedded into about half of the trunk of that palm. And so that one is adjacent to the driveway will not be required to be removed by the driveway. However, due to the concrete growing within about 50% of its trunk, we feel that the structural integrity of the palm is compromised and therefore needs to be removed. Therefore, we have 2 palms on Deering Avenue to be removed in addition to the 2 Canary Island pine trees on Roscoe, a total of 4 trees to be removed for this project. If approved, as mentioned previously, they will replant 3 Canary Island pine trees on the Roscoe Boulevard street side. There are several trees growing on Deering, so there's no room for replacements along that. So we're requesting that the board allow us to implement the tree planting guarantee fee to make up for the 2-to-1 tree replacements. The Community Forestry Advisory Committee, the Council District Number 3, and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment were informed of the tree removal permit request. As you previously mentioned, President, that the Council District 3 is in support of the project and has no objections to the tree removals. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Benuelos. Commissioner Cloza.
Thank you, President James. I just had a quick clarification question. So we have 4 trees total that are being removed, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if this is just a typo. So it says that they're going to replant 3 trees currently, right?
That's correct.
And then it says 9 additional trees needed to meet the 2-to-1 policy.
Yes, there needs to be a correction on that. Something happened with my math, and so the actual, it's going to be 5 trees are required to make up for the 2-to-1, so we have to make an adjustment there after the fact as to the required tree removal replacements.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything further?
Yeah, I wanted
Commissioner
to
Davis.
clarify. On this project, through our work, we were able to save 18 trees, did you say, in this project? Is that true?
Yes, approximately 18 trees. I say approximately because this is kind of the trees are growing in a planter area adjacent to what is a 4-foot to 5-foot sidewalk. And right now, as I understand it, it's like 7 feet of city dedication there. So the trees are growing, a lot of them are growing halfway on the city dedication. But because the developer or the applicant's required to dedicate 5 feet of dedication and 5 feet of sidewalk, making 10 feet, the trees will be in the right-of-way. Therefore, we are considering these trees to be street trees, and these trees will be retained, protected in place.
Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm sure environmentalists will be glad to hear that we were able to save some trees. And so I want to compliment us in that discovery of how to save those trees on the project.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Davis. Anything further? Then I'll make a motion as amended in a couple of areas that have been discussed orally. Are you clear on those, Dr. Campos?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
We will.
Then that'll be the motion as amended. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Banuelos.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5 is an update on our project review committee approval process by sanitation and engineering. I've got Ms. Mowry here as well as Mr. Red. So we're starting with Ms. Mowry.
Great. Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, Mr. Jordan, Dr. Campos. I'm here today to talk. I'm Lisa Mowry, Chief Financial Officer for LA Sanitation and Environment, and I'm here today to talk to you about our Program Review Committee, which is one of the longest continuously operating oversight committees in the city. PRC was established within LA San back in 1997. And it started as the oversight committee for all of the capital improvement projects within the clean water, also known as the wastewater program. After that start, it expanded to include stormwater projects, and in November of 2005, it was expanded to include all LA San projects, with the exception of those funded by Proposition O, because it had its own oversight committee. PRC is chaired by LA San's Chief Operating Officer, Tracy Minamidi, and other members of the committee are myself as CFO, the assistant directors within LA Sanitation, and the Deputy City Engineer for Clean Water Infrastructure Program. PRC is administered by LA San's Financial Management Division, which also manages all of the capital improvement programs for sanitation. So what does PRC actually do? The scope is to approve all projects that meet the controller's capitalization criteria. So we don't look at the operations side of things, but the capital projects. Typically, we don't approve every individual emergency sewer and storm drain project because, frankly, there's just too many of them, and they're emergencies.
And by the way, to interrupt you for a moment, Lisa, the reason we're having this briefing was we had some discussion. We've had discussions over the years about the PRC, and it became apparent that the PRC has never really been explained with kind of context and background on our oral record for the public to hear, and that's really why we asked for the oral report today. So go ahead with that context.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Happy to share this. We're very proud of the work that PRC does, and we don't get a chance to talk about it that often. PRC does get updates for the emergency projects. For the storm drains, we look at them on a monthly basis because the funding is so tight within that program, and we get quarterly updates for the emergency sewer rehabs. We also do look at projects, the very large ones, larger than $500,000. PRC would also approve studies that could lead to capital projects. So, for instance, if we were looking at a study having to do with ways to increase the amount of recycled water we produce in sanitation, it's likely that that's going to lead to some construction projects down the road. So PRC would approve the concept studies and any consultant use leading to that. PRC, a project can come to PRC at multiple times during its life. The first time we see it is when it's still at the conceptual stage, when we would approve it for a work order. At that point, we may not know much about it. We may know, here's what the problem is, here are some general ideas for a solution. And essentially what PRC is saying at that time is, yes, spend resources, meaning staff time, maybe consultant time, to look at this project, the problem, and try and solve it. Every once in a while something comes forward and we don't approve it because maybe somebody has an idea, well, there's a very simple way you can solve it. We don't need to do a full-blown study for it. Project would also come back to get budget approval at the completion of pre-design. At that point, we know essentially what the project's going to be, alternatives have been evaluated, and a decision has been made. This is the preferred alternative we're going to take forward. We have a better cost estimate. It's not just an opinion of cost, but it's a Class C cost estimate. And that's the point in time that budget gets approved for the project. Now, for a very lucky project manager, or maybe I should say for a very good project manager, we may not see them again because they're able to, the scope doesn't change, they keep within schedule, they keep within budget, they're good to go. But for most of our projects, because a lot of them are incredibly complicated, things come up and the scope has to change. We have to make adjustments to the schedule. Or we have rising construction costs and we have to make a change to the budget. We've got a few other things that will come to PRC even once the project is in the construction phase. If change orders are being issued and they are within the construction contingency, that wouldn't necessarily have to come to PRC. However, if the project is going to exceed its overall contingency, it has to come to PRC. Also, if there are large discretionary change orders, you may have a situation where contractor's out working in an area and the facility manager says, you know, we've got something right next to it that we've really been wanting to fix and improve. But because it's discretionary, as opposed to the contractor digs and, oh, suddenly there's utilities there that we didn't know about, or they're 5 feet away from where they were supposed to be. Obviously, those things we have to do something about. But if it's discretionary, it's important that it comes to PRC, so we decide, is that really the best use of our money? Because PRC is looking at things from an overall program perspective, not from the viewpoint for a facility manager, where obviously anything at my facility is the most important thing there is. PRC meets on a monthly basis. We meet the second Wednesday of every month. And part of the reason why PRC exists as an oversight committee in the first place is that within the budget, authority to make changes to the line items for capital projects is delegated to the Director of Sanitation. And so this is the process the director uses in order to look at those changes to the budgetary line items and either approve them or not. With that, I'll open it up for any questions people have.
Thank you, Ms. Mowry. We'll start with Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. And just so the public and myself are 100% clear, when you refer to the Deputy City Engineer, are you referring to Mr. Red? Okay, just wanted to be sure. Ken Red from Bureau of Engineering. Okay, for public record and my knowledge. And because this is a self-created committee, not created by ordinance, not created by council, et cetera, there is no need for it to be compliant with the Brown Act, correct?
Correct.
Okay, wonderful. And can you just kind of ballpark for me the percentage of projects, I don't want to say rejected, but maybe not given the green light to move forward by the PRC in an average, maybe quarter, year, whatever is easiest for you?
Sure. What's more likely to happen is not that a project is just rejected out of hand, but that it gets sent back to look at additional things. For instance, sometimes a project may come forward and it's got a huge budget increase because they wanted to add some scope to it. A lot of times, depending on what's going on, we'll say, okay, if we're adding money to project A, we're taking it away from project B. Is that scope that you're adding really a higher priority or not? So a lot of the times in PRC, we're looking at the project prioritization and making sure that if we want everybody to know the consequences of the decisions they're making, that we have a set amount of money, and if we're adding it here, whether it's because bids come in high or the scope changes or something else, it does have impacts, and there are projects that are now going to drop below the cut line. So we need to make sure everybody's comfortable and agrees, yes, this is really the highest priority. I would say in any typical meeting, which usually lasts 2.5, 3 hours, we typically have 30-page agendas. We cover a lot of projects. I would say typically every month there may be 1 or 2 projects that get sent back. Sometimes they're able to come back the following month. They've addressed the questions that have been raised. Every once in a while it will be something that it's just, for instance, because we have this prioritized project list, if a project comes in and has an incredibly low score, we'll say, look, there's no way, no matter how much we pinch pennies and don't have change orders on projects, we're just never going to get to that level, so we don't want to spend resources even working on it. Just to have something sit on a shelf, and then by the time we're ready to pull it off, the codes have changed and we've got to go through and redesign it anyway. So usually a couple every month get set back. The ones that just absolutely get stopped, maybe a couple a year.
Great, thank you. And do the division managers or whatever the chain of command is within sanitation have their own process and criteria before it lands at the PRC's desk?
Absolutely. When a project comes into PRC, it has to be signed off by division managers or facility managers within sanitation that they agree with it. It also is signed off by the division managers if the project is being designed and constructed by Bureau of Engineering. They also sign off on it. This can occur in different ways for our water reclamation facilities. There's customer day meetings where engineering and the plant managers sit down and go over what are the priorities, what are the new projects coming forward, what are changes we want to make to existing projects. On the collection system side, it's typically sanitation's doing concept reports within planning areas in our sewer shed and then sends those over to Bureau of Engineering. And then it comes forward as a joint PRC request between both. We've got to make sure that engineering's got the buy-in. We're not going to say this is $1 million project and then they look at it and go, well, no, this is a $2 million project. So everything is synchronized before it comes to PRC.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Oh, I think Mr. Redden may want to say a couple words.
I wasn't going to get up, but I will. I invite Lisa to come to the collection site. Does have customer day meetings also.
They now?
We
Okay,
do, yes.
excellent.
We have since I moved down here. So we actually do that same, go over all the projects from pre-design all the way through construction and talk about any changes or new things that might come up. So yeah, there's a lot of coordination before they ever come to PRC.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Commissioner Caloza?
Thank you, President James. I had a follow-up question from the comment you just mentioned. So does sanitation typically provide the estimates, or is it Bureau of Engineering for projects that come forth to PRC?
Provide what? I'm sorry?
Estimates.
Okay.
Yeah. Because she was talking about estimates, and so they're not surprised.
Yep, absolutely. For all of the ones where engineering is going to be doing design for us, they're the ones who provide the estimates. If we've got ones where sanitation is delivering, which may typically be something like a lot of conceptual planning type things, then sanitation would provide it.
Okay. And so for my clarification, does PRC only approve construction budgets, or do they also approve budgets for personal and professional services and consultants?
Sure. When a project comes forward, and we'll stick with the most straightforward ones, which are construction projects, as part of the approval process, the main thing we're focused on are the construction dollars, because that's the ones we want to make sure everybody understands what the approved amounts are and what the authorities are. As part of that, when a project gets presented, the designer would also include the force account, which is the city labor they expect to use on the project, as well as as well as consultant, whether it's on the design or the construction management side. And so that's part of what gets approved. We don't show that in the PRC meeting minutes because, frankly, we want the project managers to just focus on one number. What those consultant dollar amounts, as well as the city force account amounts, get used for is to roll up the overall budget. So we'll have one single line item in the actually 2 line items, one for design, one for construction, for consultant support that supports all of the projects. And so when it comes to PRC, we use the data that gets provided in order to figure out what is that full dollar amount going to be.
And then can you explain a little bit about, because we went over this a few months ago, but how the program review by director is related to program review committee and how that kind of goes back and forth, just so I'm clear.
Sure. We realized a few years ago that we're so used to the PRC process and the rigors of it and the approvals that occur on the capital side. We realized that things that were on the operational side weren't necessarily going through that same level of scrutiny, or it was at least uneven throughout our organization. And so that's when we developed the review by director process. So the things that don't go through PRC would then fall into that bucket. So there's a different type of review process there. We don't have meetings and go over it. We try and do things administratively via email and via paper forms that get approved. And so that could look at things such as, for instance, contracts and RFPs on the operational side. So for instance, before a contract for containers for our trash collection goes forward, it has to go through the PRD process so that everybody's on the same page on what the expectation is for this particular contract. And it's not just based on the contract manager, okay, well, we're going to do the exact same thing we did last time around, when maybe the director or the other executives know, well, now we need to add something else in. We know there are different state regulations coming down the road, and so we can't just do what we did before. We need to now add some additional provisions to the next RFP that goes out. So it's all intended to provide more oversight so that when we then bring something to the board, it's a really solid product.
So if it's approved by the PRD, just for my clarification, it doesn't then go to PRC. That is the final approval.
Typically not. We've had a few projects that have sort of gone back and forth between the two of them. We've tried to keep things consistent. So for instance, before we had the PRD process, there might have been some consultant contracts that went through PRC because that was the only option available to us at that time. And then when there were changes to it, we were looking at, okay, well, in the new world, this would go through the PRD process, but it's already started in PRC, so let's just keep it there so we've got that continuous record on that side. So there's a few gray areas where it's, which bucket does it go into? And so our financial management division will make the final determination of which approval process it goes through.
And so the PRD won't approve things like a construction budget, though that's always through PRC.
Anything involving construction goes the PRC route.
Okay. And then, so there's various different oversight committees that sanitation has, right? In terms of the different programs and funding streams that you guys administer.
No, PRC covers all of the sanitation. The only thing we don't cover is Proposition O, because there was a separate oversight committee that was established for that as part of the bond approval process.
Sorry, I think I misstated my question. Within the Bureau of Sanitation, you guys have various different oversight committees over your programs in addition to PRC? No? Okay,
PRC,
it's really the main one.
PRC is the oversight committee for all of the capital projects, yes.
Okay, so there's no other oversight committees outside of the capital projects?
No.
Okay. So the membership is just strictly sanitation and BOE, right?
Correct.
Okay. Is there at any point during the process, do you guys involve the city attorney's office or the CAO's office for them to do like an analysis or give them your green light, or how does that sort of work?
No, they're not involved in the project approval analysis. Now, if there is a project that has particular legal aspects, we absolutely will consult with the city attorney's office on that. Most of our projects, those types of issues might be related to right-of-way. So we would be consulting with land use attorneys within the city attorney's process. We don't work with the CAO on it because they're not involved in the capital funding oversight, other than, as I mentioned before, for the Propo projects.
And then, can you just confirm how much money is in the CIP program again?
For the wastewater side, the clean water side, we run about $300 million per year. Stormwater side has historically only been a couple of million. With the Measure W funds coming in later this fiscal year, that amount will grow. On our solid resources program, the amount can fluctuate depending on whether we're doing any large facility improvements, but typically, that might be a few $1 million, maybe up to $10 million per year.
I don't have any other questions right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Closer. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, so in summary, PRC is run, you said, through the Financial Services Division within the Bureau, right?
They administrate it.
And would it be safe to say that, well, how long, first of all, have we had the PRC formula in the Bureau? How long has it been since we've been going through this process with our capital projects?
We've been doing it since 1997 as PRC. Before then, there was a project implementation committee that existed before that, which I remember presenting to you back in the day. But yeah, it's been 22 years now that we've had PRC.
And so you have been satisfied with the performance of PRC in terms of its impact and making sure that we have implemented due diligence in those valuables that we have to look to in our capital projects, that you are sure after something survives the PRC process that pretty much is the best that we can do in scrutiny with a project.
It is proven to be a very good vetting process. Sometimes it functions as almost a value engineering when the project's there, and people from throughout the organizations are able to talk about, well, I remember 15 years ago we had something similar over here, and this is how we solved it. So it's a really great forum to do things like that, as well as, again, looking at things from that high-level perspective, because we've always, for instance, we've always got competition between, do we spend money on the sewers? Do we spend money on the water recycling facilities? And so this provides that umbrella level of oversight to make sure that we're focusing across our entire program.
Great. So it appears to me to be quite an asset to our management team, and particularly to our director, to ensure that once a project is reviewed by PRC, that it has been given the best scrutiny and due diligence that we can provide from the Bureau. So to that, I think perhaps every unit or bureau within our department should have such a PRC committee, if you will. So thank you for the work that you guys do in putting PRC together.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Anything further? Thank you for the summary. And by the way, Dr. Campos, I would like to add the one-pager summary that was helpful. We can attach this to our
journals.
Our journals.
Correct. So what we can do is we can PDF the handout that Bureau of Sanitation handed out to the commissioners, and then we will link it onto the journal so that anybody from the public that wants to retrieve this document, they can do so.
They can see it as part of the public record, and
Absolutely.
if they're listening to the presentation, they'll have a summary that they can download if they would like.
And that usually gets posted within 24 hours from today, so by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We are adjourned. Have a great Wednesday.